Hello and welcome, everybody, to this special webinar event Optimize Marketing Performance Using First Party Data with Salesforce and Meta. Today's exciting webinar is sponsored by Salesforce and Meta and produced by SmartBrief. My name is Mackenzie Puddesy with SmartBrief, and I'm excited to be your moderator for this conversation today. Why, you may ask? Well, today we will explore how businesses can maximize their marketing ROI through the effective use of first party data. Today, we'll focus on the seamless integration between Salesforce Data Cloud and Meta Conversions API, providing practical insights into leveraging existing customer data to enhance marketing performance and drive sales across both digital and physical channels. With a strong history of innovation, Salesforce and Meta have partnered to create solutions that improve customer engagement while prioritizing data security and privacy. Our expert presenters will guide you through the setup of the integration in Data Cloud, demonstrating how to apply key signals to optimize your marketing campaigns on Meta. You'll gain valuable and practical knowledge on crafting personalized customer experiences and implementing privacy compliant data practices that lead to higher conversion rates. This session will include live demonstrations as well as a Q&A segment, allowing for direct interaction with our product experts from Salesforce and Meta, and together we are going to unlock the full potential of first-party data and optimize your marketing strategy. This is going to be such a cool conversation, and I cannot wait to get started. So let's zip through the housekeeping and get things on our way. Now, first, I want to draw your attention to the questions section of your webinar console. This is the best place to get involved, get interactive, and post all your insightful questions, comments, feedback, and ideas. We indeed do want to hear from you today. So why don't you find that questions tab now? And why don't you start out by saying hi, hello, bonjour, hola, aloha, or whatever greeting you want to send out to the community and the audience here with you today, and give a little wave to everyone there. As a quick side note, that window is also the best place to reach out and let us know if you have any technical issues during the session today. Knock on wood, of course, that none of that happens. But don't forget, a browser refresh should get rid of any of the usual tech gremlins and issues with slides and audio. But if not, just shoot a message in that questions tab, and the Smart Brief crew and I will be here to help. Last thing I want to point out on your audience console is the handouts tab. So you can grab the step-by-step guide from Salesforce in there, as well as links to the Salesforce with Meta partner page and links to follow up with your Salesforce or Meta contacts about this partnership as well. Now, the last bit of fun we're going to have today is a prize giveaway. We have a $250 Amazon gift card up for grabs. Now, you do need to be live and present on the webinar to win, and the full T's and C's of that are also in the handouts tab there. Okay, well, I think that is it for the housekeeping. I like to keep it short and sweet, and now we are ready to start our webinar. I'm very excited to introduce you all to Jason Ellman, who is the Director of Product Management at Salesforce, as well as Heriberto Salcedo, who is the Product Marketing Manager at Meta. I'm super thrilled to have these two coming on stage, see what they prepared for us, and then I will join them for Q&A. So make sure you send in your questions during the presentation, as this is one of the biggest benefits of joining these live webinars, being able to directly pose questions to industry experts. Not only that, but you may just be rewarded for your curiosity with a $50 Amazon gift card, which is for the best question asked in today's session. So, as I mentioned, it might pay to be curious, and I love that because I'm a very curious person. And with that, Heriberto, I'm going to hand things over to you and get you to kick things off. Take it away.
Thank you for having me. So, what's this conversation about? It's essentially how do we optimize marketing performance using first party data through our partnerships with Salesforce Data Cloud. And I want to sort of visualize what that means from a lead generation perspective. And when you look at take a look at the customer journey, this is essentially of sort of the closing the circle from a reach to conversion perspective. Let's take an ad campaign, for example, from left to right. You have your potential customer. You initiate a lead generation campaign. They click on that ad. That action, essentially, of that ad, whether they sign up for a newsletter, request a quote, request to be called back, or actually book an appointment, that information goes into your CRM system with Salesforce. And without that ability to sort of send that data back, we in Meta lose that opportunity or lose that visibility in terms of what happens to that customer in terms of how do they move across the conversion or sales funnel. With Conversions API, you essentially have the ability to share that CRM data back with Meta. And now we at Meta have visibility into that customer journey, which then allows you to optimize future campaigns for lead quality or more intentionality as opposed to just volume. So the conversation that we're going to walk you through is sort of step by step of how to go about it. Now, the first step is really around the actions going into your CRM system, in this case with Salesforce. Again, as I mentioned before, without the Convergence API integration, we at Meta essentially lose all visibility into what happens to that customer in terms of from initiating interest in the beginning all the way to converting. So I want to focus the next few slides on that top part, the highlighted part, in terms of where that action goes to your CRM. So to take a step back, essentially Meta has introduced a bundle of lead generation products that essentially allow you to reach, engage, and nurture customers, whether they're with forms and they come in various degrees, whether in instant forms, and this is a native a native experience, a frictionless experience that lives inside of Meta that's already pre-populated, mobile first that allows customers to input information, whether that's through your own website where folks can click on an ad and go directly to your website and fill out a form. You can also generate leads that essentially open up a messenger interface, whether through Messenger or Instagram, where they can essentially click on an ad, go to a messenger, and you can have that two-way conversation with a customer in real time. And also calling, where a customer can essentially sign up to be called back, whether directly within the interface or on your website as well. My focus here will be on instant forms. Now, what's great about instant forms, when you think about from a lead generation perspective, there's more complexities, more touch points than just clicking a button and add into a cart. There is sort of that nurturing component or that added complexity to go from awareness all the way to conversion. Instant forms, just like any forms, allow people to express interest in just a few taps. What's great about this is that they load instantly. They're a mobile first form, and they allow you to get more information about the business. And what's great about this particular product is they load quickly and they auto-populate with information around people that have already shared specific aspects or specific sort of pieces of information with Meta. So you can pre-populate, and which will allow customers to essentially move from exposure to interest a lot quickly and close that gap. And the next component to sort of the lead generation process, and both of them are sort of prerequisites to the follow-up to the slides that come after, is the lead retrieval component. And this is ensuring that once a customer is already clicked on the ad, has submitted information via an instant form, that information goes directly into your Salesforce CRM system. And how to do that, you essentially navigate to Meta Business Suite. You click on All Tools. You'll scroll down to the option that says Instant Forms, which will have a list of either instant forms that you've already created, or you have the ability to create specific templates. And then if you click on CRM Setup, you can essentially type in there Salesforce, and it will navigate you to the Salesforce landing page that would allow you to connect your CRM system to your lead generation instant forms. So that way, this campaign and any future campaigns, anyone who signs up within your form, that will automatically get shipped to your CRM automatically. So let me toss it to Jason, who's going to walk you through that experience on the Salesforce side.
Thanks, Roberto. So we're going to pick up here and just kind of do a walkthrough on how the instant lead form retrieval works with the Salesforce lead capture app. So as described earlier, from this page, you'll be able to click on Connect from Website, and it'll take you to a help page that will provide you kind of step-by-step instructions on exactly how to configure this for Marketing Cloud or for Sales Cloud. So for this particular demo, we're just going to go through the Sales Cloud. This is the app that you would install. And once installed and configured, you'll be able to see it here from this lead capture app tab within your Salesforce CRM page. Once it's configured, there's instructions on how to test this setup by selecting a page and a form and then triggering a sample lead to be generated. So it happens rather quickly. As this lead gets generated, you'll see that the lead capture app recognized it, pulled it in, and has already written it as a new lead into Sales Cloud. So if we drill into this, we'll be able to see the test dummy data that was pulled into Sales Cloud automatically through the app. So we're populating things like email address, but we've also configured this so that the source and the details point to this being Meta. What's important here is that the lead capture app does do a prefix, assigns FB dash, which we'll talk about a little bit later in terms of how to configure Data Cloud to strip that out. So like we just said, there is an additional step once you've configured Sales Cloud to connect the Data Cloud. Those will be in sync. But before we create an activation and kind of connect into the full closed loop, we do need to do a little bit of data prep work. And that data prep work involves effectively creating a new formula field on these data streams that are ingesting these leads from Sales Cloud into Data Cloud. So the first thing you'll want to do is when you get into Data Cloud, you'll want to click on the data stream that's bringing in the lead from either Marketing Cloud or Sales Cloud. And on the right-hand button, upper right-hand rail, click the drop-down menu and then New Formula Field. Once you get to New Formula Field, you'll be presented with this modal that'll allow you to create a new formula field. And we'll just call this one External Lead ID Value. It's going to be of type text. And then we're going to use the substitute function to effectively look for that particular FB dash and then just replace it with an empty null string. So once you've kind of entered this particular field and tested it and made sure the output works as expected, you can click Save. So we've created a new additional field to hold this trimmed value, the lead ID value that we'll be using later. The last step to do is to make sure that that new value is actually mapped and stored on the lead object in Data Cloud. So to do that, we'll go back to this same data stream where we created the formula field. And on the right-hand rail, you will see a review button under the data mapping. So you'll navigate to it, click the review button, and then here you'll be able to take and map this same external lead ID value that we created in the prior step to a field on the lead DMO in Data Cloud. So in this example, we're going to map this trimmed value to the external record ID on the lead DMO. So once you've done that, you can hit Save and Close. And at a later step in this presentation, we'll talk about how we're going to use this external record ID as we create a conversion lead activation back into Meta via the Conversions API. And I'll hand it back to Roberto.
Thank you, Jason. So we've just walked you through the lead retrieval component and think of them as prerequisites in order to sort of receive the impact of lead quality and ensuring that your Salesforce CRM is connected to your instant form so that those leads are going directly into your CRM. Now we're going to walk you through sort of closing that loop. And like what I mentioned earlier, without the Convergence API connection, we've sort of lost all visibility into that customer journey. You want to make sure that your first party data is working as hard as it can for you to optimize for better results. And that's where Convergence API comes into play. So just to share some numbers with you, essentially connecting your CRM data with Meta technologies via Convergence API, it drives impact. We've seen on average of about a 15% reduction in cost per quality lead, and a 44% increase in rate of converting a lead to a quality lead when we compare that to lead ads with instant forms, not that are optimized for volume or for quantity. Um, so now I'm going to walk you through what that looks like from a setup perspective with Convergence API for CRM with Salesforce Data Cloud. So just to level set us, again, investing, like I mentioned before, investing in your first party data sort of puts you out front. Connecting your Salesforce CRM data via Convergence API not only helps improve quality, but also reduce costs. It allows you to sync your campaigns across Meta technologies back to your CRM. It shares that knowledge back to us for better targeting and optimization, which allows you to reach essentially a highest value prospect. Now, when you think about it in practice, when you're looking to reach higher quality lead, think about those sort of those executions or those campaign goals where you're, when you're wanting to capture a test drive appointment, for example. These are ones where you want to make sure that you get the best quality leads that are going to drive conversions at the end of the day. So what you first want to do is within Events Manager, you want to set up a CRM pixel. We also call it as a data set. The lead event data you share from your CRM is essentially collected via this data set or CRM pixel. This is also the data set that you'll use to configure your sales funnel later down the line. So as I mentioned, you'll go to Events Manager. You'll choose connect data sources, which you'll see on the right hand side, and then you'll check CRM as a data source, and then you'll hit connect. Relatively quick. Now, you have sort of two options from a data set or CRM pixel. One, you can create a new one. Again, how to set it up, you'll click on create new pixel link. You'll name the pixel accordingly and hit continue. Creating, one tip, creating this pixel at this stage can help prevent CRM events from cluttering your existing pixel and event manager, and it also helps for easier troubleshooting if anything comes up. But you also have the ability to use an existing pixel. You can select that existing pixel you would like to use that currently exists. You could hit continue. Now, a tip here is a CRM pixel or a dataset can still receive web, app, and offline events. So think of this sort of the pixel as sort of a data container, and which way it goes is sort of where we classify it or the data source. And if you're using a single pixel for multiple types of events, try to avoid mixing event names. So instead of lead as a CRM event, call it CRM lead. That way you can differentiate those events. So now let me throw it to Jason, who's going to walk you through sort of what it looks like from a Salesforce perspective.
Thanks for that, Roberto. So we are going to talk a little bit about how to connect Data Cloud to Meta, and then walk through some steps on how to configure a conversion lead event integration, which means effectively monitor those lead changes as they kind of progress through their life cycle. And as those changes are detected, forward those to Meta, for purposes of measurement and optimization. But for first, we'll start with actually creating that connection to the pixel ID that or data set that Roberto walked us through creating earlier. So forewarning, you do need to have specific roles and permissions in both Data Cloud and within Meta in order to complete this step, because it does require you to be a Data Cloud marketing manager or Data Cloud admin role in order to kind of retrieve the secrets and keys and the tokens that we'll be using to exchange with Meta. But you also need to be an admin on the Meta Business Suite or the Business Manager account that owns the data set that you just created. So assuming you have both of these requisite permissions, you'll be able to complete the next few steps. So from within Data Cloud, you'll navigate to an Activations Target tab and click New. When you click on New, you'll be able to see all of the different targets that are enabled for your organization. And among these will be the Meta Conversions API. So you'll click Next, and we'll give this a name that we want to kind of assign to this particular target. And then we'll give it an optional description and assign it to a data space. So when we hit Save, we'll actually be kicked out and be asked to either log in or continue as a user and grant the permissions. Here's where we'll select the Business Manager account where the pixel lives, and then select the pixel ID that is where we want to send these change events. We'll continue through this process and then hit save. So this is creating that connection, providing our app with the permission scopes required in order to send these events as they're detected. So now that we've created the link between a data space and data cloud and your Meta Business Pixel ID or data set, now we can go through the process of actually creating the activation. So for this one, we'll go ahead and go to Activations tab, and then we'll click New. And when we do this, now we'll see the option to select a data model object, which we'll select. We'll find the data space where we are storing our lead objects, and here we'll select Default. And then we'll search for the lead object. This is where we're syncing those leads. We'll select the target that we created in the prior step, and then we'll have the option to select a data graph. We won't select one here, but we'll go into a little more detail later around what a data graph does. We select standard event, and then we'll see something called CRM lead record change events. So selecting that and the system generated, we can hit next. And here's where we'll be doing mappings. So you'll see that we can map lead status to event name. And here's where we'll kind of navigate to that lead status field on the lead object and select that. And then in terms of match IDs, we have the option of a lead ID, a click ID, an email, or a phone. So we'll just map the lead ID that we trimmed earlier. So we'll find that external record ID where we put that trimmed value and select that. And now we can progress to next. On this screen, you'll now be able to add additional filter logic to determine what leads want to qualify and actually do want to send updates for. When we set up our lead capture, we made sure that every lead was assigned a specific value that was coming from Meta. So here we'll just put in a filter that says, I only want to send leads that have Meta lead ads as the event source. So once we save that, we'll be able to look at all the values that are being passed. You'll see that we're going to send system generated, CRM, and Salesforce as part of the API request, and that's automatically done for you. And then we will go ahead and assign this a name and an optional description. And then now we can actually set a start date for when we want to start firing these lead events, these change events, and an end date. So we'll just go ahead and go out a full calendar year and set this for November next year. Once I hit save, this is going to have the job spin up. And from this page, you'll be able to actually monitor how many records are sent within Windows, the success rate, and the rejected and failure rates. These should line up with what you see in your events manager as a way of kind of investigating any dropped events and kind of identifying where that may happen. Before I hand it over to Roberto, I do want to touch real quickly on the data graph object selection that we kind of skipped over in that earlier demo. If you're not familiar with data graph objects, you can think of these as a way of compiling information from related child objects that may not live on the object that you're activating. So you can use this additional data to create filter rules, to append additional data and pass that along as part of these event payloads. And so some common scenarios are, hey, I've got some customer profile or contact information that maybe lives in a unified profile that does not live on my lead record. Or I want to use some consent data that I can capture and reconcile as part of my individual or unified individual profile and use that as part of my filter criteria. So when you create these data graph objects and then you select that as part of this create flow, all of the information that resides within that data graph object can be used again as either appends and or filter criteria. Okay, and I'll hand it back to you, Roberto.
Thank you, Jason, for walking us through that content. So now that you've started to pass your data, it's time to configure your sales funnel. When your CRM data passes the verification checks, you can configure your sales funnel in Events Manager. You'll go to Events Manager, CRM Pixel settings, and you'll see where you are in the integration stage, and you should see that it's sort of time to configure your sales funnel. Steps you want to take for configure your sales funnel, you want to make sure that you remove the events that don't belong in your sales funnel. You want to order your events that reflect the order of your sales funnel. And you want to select the stages in your sales funnel that you want to optimize for. This does not need to be the final stage. The model will optimize for all stages following the selected stage as well. Your sales funnel and event stages essentially help Meta understand the actions you want your customer to take at the end of the day. Your sales funnel is made up of stages that represent the way your typical customer moves throughout the conversion sort of journey. Each stage is defined by specific actions, for us called events, or for everyone called events. Your conversion lead event stage, this is the stage you pick to optimize your campaign for. You can choose more than one, but these stages should be typically be accomplished by 1 to 40% of all your leads. We tend to sort of recommend 10 to 30 ideally. Some important notes I want to make sure I call out on determining the events you will pass back to Meta is you'll need to share an event with Meta when you initially receive the lead. You can call it initial lead or first lead or something similar. At the very minimum, you'll need to pass the lower funnel event that you'll want to optimize for. You can add other intermediate events. This is also good, as these intermediate or middle events can help and be used in the scenario that you selected. Your selected event does not have that 1 to 40% conversion rate that we're asking for. Now, again, to remind you, ideally, you want to make sure that that lower funnel event you want to optimize for should be accomplished by about 1 to 40% of all your leads, 10 to 30 ideally. So what happens next? Nothing from your perspective in terms of what you need to do. This is the learning phase. Essentially allowing the learning phase to complete. During this learning phase, or what we call funnel analysis, we validate the CRM data to confirm that leads are properly moving throughout the sales funnel. This will help us build a model that improves your ad performance at the end of the day. You should see performance improvements within 1 week, and a maximum performance improvement within 2 months. Like I said, there's no work on your end unless the system finds an issue, which we will highlight. You can run conversion lead optimized campaigns during this learning period, but you won't see the full benefit until it's complete. Now, when it's complete, typically after 2 weeks, you'll be able to start to run um, conversion lead optimization campaigns. You can set up a lead campaign, set up an instant form, and use that performance goal. And you should be able to see that within your CRM pixel. So this is what it looks like when you are running sort of that that lead generation campaign. As you know, you'll go into Ads Manager, you'll pick lead as the objective, then you'll see your conversion location where you'll select instant form. At the bottom, you'll have two performance goals. Lead performance goal, and this really optimizes for the maximum number of instant forms submitted, volume-based impact. But then now you'll be able to do conversion lead performance goal. Now these maximizes the leads that you receive that are more likely to take a specific action based off that sales funnel that you help us sort of build a model off that I mentioned earlier. And you'll start to see new reporting metrics that will essentially give you deeper insight into your campaign performance. You'll see metrics such as conversion leads, which is the number of leads that have converted, attributed to that instant form, cost per conversion lead, that average cost per lead that converted, and a conversion lead rate, the rate of leads that converted from total instant forms submitted. And you'll see that into the ads manager experience, where you'll see the new lead section in ads manager. You'll see a new preset, conversion leads for streamlined reporting, and a results column showing the new conversion lead metric. And that's it. That's essentially how it works and how to integrate. Now I'll open it up to questions. So Mackenzie, feel free to take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you both. That was a great presentation. We've got a lot of audience questions and a lot of hype going on there in the chat. So I'm excited to pitch a few of these to you here now. Some of these look like they're pertaining kind of more to Meta, more to Salesforce, but I'd say if you guys just want to hop in and say, I'll take that one, or you can both comment, that should work great. So, first one here in the queue, this coming from Matthew, is how is my customer data used once I share it with Meta?
Yeah, I think that one's for me. The Convergence API is a secure and reliable way for businesses to share marketing data with Meta. Per our business tool terms, we do not share data sent via the Conversions API with any third parties, including other advertisers, unless we are required to do so either by law or you advise us that we are permitted to do so. Sort of a long way of saying we sort of take a very high uh, privacy threshold when it comes to data that's being passed into Meta and using it for a specific use case. And in this case, that CRM data for lead generation campaigns.
Awesome. And there was another question actually about conversions API. So why don't I pitch that to you now? This one is, I already have a conversions API for web setup in place. Is CRM integration separate?
Yeah, that's a great question. The conversion API set up for your web events and the CRM events, they're distinct integrations. They are executed separately, and neither is a prerequisite for the other. So if you already have a conversions API for web setup in place, you will need to go through specific steps to get this conversions API for CRM data integration in place.
Okay, nice. And again, Jason, if you want to hop in at any point, feel free. Another question I have about this topic, how do I get access to the conversions API feature?
Yeah, I can take that one. So this integration is you will need Data Cloud, uh, as part of this integration to get access to this particular feature. It is part of our Ad Audiences product, which is an add-on SKU for the Data Cloud product, and these entitlements will allow you to create these event activations into Meta Conversions API. But that same ad audience entitlement also opens up the ability for you to activate audience segments to Meta via the customer match integration. So they both kind of are powered by the same add-on product, which is ad audiences.
Right. And someone was asking if they have to have Salesforce Data Cloud, sorry, to have a Salesforce Data Cloud account to proceed with this integration. Anything else they should know? Anything else they need to make this happen or to make it really smooth and seamless?
Yeah. So they do need Data Cloud, and we kind of walked through a little bit earlier on the Meta lead instant form lead retrieval product, right? So for clarity, that does pull those leads into either Marketing Cloud or Sales Cloud. So in addition to having Data Cloud, they'll need to have set up the connector, the bundle connector that allows those leads to be synced into Data Cloud, which is an automatic process once kind of it's set up and up and running.
Okay. Beautiful. Let's see. Another question here. Does this only work for leads or other event types as well?
It does work for other event types. So we did build this integration to support really any type of customer engagement across both offline and offline channels. So we've built in kind of native support for all of the standard meta events like add to cart or purchase events, but also the ability for you to define kind of your own custom events that might be specific to your industry or business. So if it's in a customer touch point, it is supported.
Nice. And and what does that typically look like? Like, what are you seeing people on the day to day or clients currently right now? What are they kind of rolling out in terms of these event types or different touch points?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing a lot of online web as kind of the client side kind of integrations that historically relied on Facebook tags are being not necessarily as effective as they were 5, 10 years ago because a lot of the browser changes. So we're seeing kind of a parallel implementation where they'll leave the tag up, but they'll also send these events server side. But then, just as frequently, we're seeing people adopt this as part of as a way of kind of delivering in-store transaction sales, so things that weren't historically captured very easily, from a web, as an example.
Okay, excellent. Well, I think we're gonna wrap Q&A roughly here, but I always want to give you guys a chance to kind of leave the audience with anything. So if you have a final mic drop moment, a nugget of wisdom, or even just some sort of call to action, if people are excited about this, they want to take some next steps, where should they go? What should they do?
Roberto, anything from you?
I would just say really think about your first party data strategy. I think this is where Convergence API for CRM really can drive additional value to businesses, especially businesses that are sort of focused on that lead generation perspective. It's there, use it. Salesforce has really allowed for more sort of easier, streamlined way to integrate with it. So that's sort of my parting words. Jason, anything from you?
Yeah, and I would just say that this is kind of one of the moments where we're actually able to put a lot of the control into the marketer's hands and provide them the agility to move as quickly as their business does and as their customers do. So we kind of breeze through the concept of like data graphs and filter logic, but being able to control exactly what gets sent from your organization based off of what you feel comfortable sharing, or what your policies allow for, being able to pivot as privacy changes happen within a state or another region, and be able to apply those rules without having to go through and kind of recode your logic on your website. Those are all things that I think we're just investing in to help with that agility. So it's kind of the beginning stages, but we're happy with where things are going.
That's awesome. And if people do want to take some next steps or get in touch, where should they go for that?
Yeah, so more resources and information about the partnership is available by kind of scanning the QR code that we have here. You can visit our Salesforce and Meta partner page by scanning that. You can also reach out to your Meta rep or your Salesforce account team directly and just ask them for more information.
Awesome. Well, it's been a great conversation. Really exciting stuff. Honestly, I loved seeing everything, getting some of those live demos, and understanding what was going on there. So, thank you so much, and hope to
Okay.
have you back in the near future with some more updates.
Well, we enjoyed it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Alrighty, well, I do think that puts us at time, and I do want to sincerely thank you guys both for being here today and letting us all pick your brain and for sharing such valuable information. I know I got a lot out of this session, and I'm sure the audience did as well, based on all the interaction and all the questions. So, really great. Now, everyone out there, I hope you've had as much fun as I have and learned as much as I did. I want to remind you all to also visit the handout section before we wrap up if you haven't already for those follow-ups from today's session. The links from those QR codes we mentioned, as well as the step-by-step guide, are in there, and you definitely don't want to sleep on those resources. Now, before we wrap up, we have one more little bit of fun to add to an already awesome webinar. It is time for our prize giveaway. Quick reminder that you must be present and live to win here on today's session. And up for grabs is a $250 Amazon gift card, and it is going to go out to Natalie Carlson from California. Congratulations, Natalie. As always, we will be in touch about claiming your prize after the webinar, and that $50 best question gift card also will be picked based on the best question asked. So again, thank you all for being curious and inquisitive, and we'll be reaching out about that as well. And with that, on behalf of the Smart Brief team, I want to thank Salesforce and Meta for making this webinar possible. I especially want to thank our incredible speakers, Jason and Heriberto, who have given us so much to think about today. And of course, I want to send out special high fives and special thank yous to all of you today for making it possible as well. Without an audience, this goes nowhere, and it's really great to see so many of you taking a little bit of time out of your busy days to strategize, to think ahead, to learn, and be able to implement some of these new tools and highlight some of the powerful things that can come out of this partnership. So again, thank you for making the mental space for that in your day and looking at how to optimize marketing performance using first-party data with Salesforce and Meta. I can't wait to see you all again at a webinar soon. And until then, I hope you have an absolutely magical rest of your day. Take care, everybody.